Welcome in, everyone. Saturday morning, Saturday show in the Twin Cities Sports Talk reality right here. Bruce Kramer. I'm going to be talking to you about a Wolves debacle last night and a wild big win, and we're going to get ready for a Gophers game day at Wrigley Field in Chicago against Northwestern Wildcats. Right away, though, we are going to go straight to a little Minnesota T-Wolves talk because it is well needed and needs to be talked about, obviously, after last night. All right. I'm just going to say it. Like I said in the title here, Wolves, massive debacle. That's enough said already, but this was unacceptable. Absolutely a disgrace of the last 5 minutes of a game. I mean, very, very, very poorly run from the players. And that's the thing. I said 5 minutes, but the way that the Suns got back into this game, Devin Booker fouls out with 4 minutes left. And at that point, I sat back on the couch and I said, okay, they're sitting well here. Even though Dylan Brooks, could he be a legitimate scorer in this league? I know he's been in it for a while, but he hasn't shown flashes like tonight. Tonight he was on, but either way, Dylan Brooks being your main scorer. I know Gillespie was going well for the Suns, yes, but to have Devin Booker foul out with 4 minutes, you sit back in your chair and you say, all right, this game is pretty much ours here. We have a 7-point lead with a couple minutes left. There's not much you have to do to just maintain this lead. There's not much. But no. That's not what the Timberwolves did. They got absolutely bullied. And they made terrible, terrible decisions. Now I'm going to track down just strictly to 1 minute left and below. The Wolves need to take a breath. I think that's my biggest takeaway from this last minute of the game. They need to take a breath in between buckets from the Suns, and well, for any team for that matter. They need to take a breath before they inbound the ball because there's no limit. There's 5 seconds. You can take 5 seconds. Inbound the ball and don't just throw it into hazardous locations because that's not going to end well. Obviously, this goes back to that like Milwaukee debacle last year in the playoff race. This was a terrible game. I mean, we had this thing wrapped up, being super careless with the basketball, and then going back. So let's start from the beginning of the game. All right. The Wolves were cold. They came out cold, bad shooting, but you keep Devin Booker from capitalizing off of that. He only has 3 field goals in the first half. And you're saying, okay, so I mean, we're only down by it's like single digits here, and or maybe a bit above that at one point. But you were always in the game. You came out cold. All you need to do is just have a strong third quarter and really get on them. Well, there you go. The defense is what carried them along with Anthony Edwards scoring. This is what Trevor, co-producer on the Twin City Sports Talk podcast here. This is what we've been talking about for a long time, is that we love Ant as a 3-point shooter, and he's great at it. But what carried the Wolves a lot in those 2023 playoffs, Ant getting to the rack. This guy is one of the best driving guards in the NBA. He can get past anyone. He's super quick, light on the feet. And by the way, he can posterize any single guy. It doesn't matter if it's Victor, Wemby, like it doesn't, or if it's Grayson Allen for a weird example there. But it doesn't matter who's down there. He can posterize. He can do anything down there. And that's exactly what he did in this third quarter. Got up to 35 points by the end of it. He scored 14 in the third, I think. Either way, double digits in the third quarter. That's all you can ask for out of your star player right there. And then what also was really great about it, the defense. The defense kept making plays. They kept making Devin Booker turn the ball over. At one point in the third quarter, the Suns had 18 turnovers. And I'm not saying the defense wasn't there in the first half, because it was. Devin Booker he made 3 field goals in the to sustain that. You have to. And that is not what they did. Fourth quarter comes around. I don't want to say they got complacent by any means because I don't like to throw that word out a lot about teams because they are professionals and they know what they're doing. But my gosh, like I kind of already went through, super careless with the basketball in the last 5 minutes. Super careless. And one thing I hound for a ton in basketball is move the ball around in these late game moments and find a better shot. I mean, that goes for that last shot Randall took, which was absolutely terrible. I get there's 5 seconds on the clock, but you could have drove the lane. You needed 2 points. Just try to draw a foul instead of just hucking one up with 2 seconds. You could have easily gotten in the lane and gave a little finger roll or anything like that. You could have done anything. Either way, you need to find shots. And I get the NBA in this day and age is a very 3 point heavy. It's so hard to say though because this is how all the teams are in the NBA and basketball in general. But I'm talking specifically late game. You need to have the mental awareness to not give the ball away and waste some time on the clock. Really diminish their hopes because that entire time it the Suns, they did not feel like they were out of it. They would get a bucket. Yeah, we might get a bucket in retaliation there, but we were always just trading back buckets when it was 10 minutes or shorter in the fourth quarter. It's not a spot where you want to be in. You want to diminish 25 seconds off that shot clock. And I'm not saying you want to shoot one right as the shot clock buzzer's going off, but you got to do a better job at getting the ball in the net with less time on the clock. Because if they do that tonight, I am a sole believer that they win this game. And then the Suns, they don't think they have to do anything special. But I will say, this was probably my favorite game to watch this year up until everything went wrong and then they looked like a bunch of fifth graders. This was my favorite game to watch this year. Both teams just taking active shots at each other. I mean, the Wolves, they go on that 16-3 run in the third. They hold the Suns to, I think, 9 points in the third quarter. And then what do the Suns do? They come screaming right back. And then the Suns go on a 12-3 run with 5 minutes left and get right back into the race. And then what do the Wolves do? They're scrambling all over the floor, and that's the most hype timeout call I've ever seen in the NBA history. I mean, everyone was on the ground. Randall, DiVincenzo, Rudy, everyone going back and forth. There was a lot of chipper. I guess honestly, it's just the Dylan Brooks effect. Because when you are lined up against that guy, you're gonna play your butt off the whole time because he's gonna make you, which I mean could backfire for him sometimes because guys like Ant, they're gonna play on edge if they are forced to like that. So I don't know. Maybe it's the Dylan Brooks effect, but things went well tonight, and it was a very fun game to watch until that last moment. Either way, that is really all. Like the first half, it wasn't a lot of special. It really wasn't. But the Wolves did everything they did to win this game. They got Devin Booker out early. He fouled out with 4 minutes before they went on that like big debacle and big run at the end of the game. But they did everything they could. All right. And it's just about getting it done when they need to at the end of the game. That's all it is. That's all it is. And yes, I was wrong. My prediction was they're going to win tonight, which, yeah, that is a tick off of my record with my predictions so far. Not a great start from episode 1. All right, let's move on to some positive tonight. Let's move on to the Minnesota Wild. Let's get some Minnesota Wild talk up in here because, I mean, they earned it. They really. And credit to them, they came out firing. And honestly, it's not exactly what I expected because, like I said in show 1, Pittsburgh came into this game with 4 or 5 days of rest, which in hockey in this season of hockey, super valuable because I mean, maybe not a lot of people do know, but the Four Nations face-off, or it's not the Olympics, but it's just the countries coming together and playing in February again this year. The NHL has to stack up a ton of games in before then. And so teams are usually playing every other or like every 2 days or every other day. So the Penguins to come in with 4 days of rest, super rare. I mean, but you got to hand it to the Wild. They absolutely out hustled Pittsburgh, and they were just faster in every asset of the game, and it was refreshing. It was very refreshing. Two guys, two defensemen that I'd like to give props to. One, Brock Faber. I think this was his best game of the season so far. Very sound on defense. Didn't let a not or ugh, didn't let a lot of pucks into the net area, just anywhere near it, really. And he was creating chances on offense. He had 2 assists tonight. And like I said, just very sound on defense and really kind of commanding the puck up the ice a lot of the time. Kind of like Zeev buoy him on the power play. I want Zeev to keep playing on that first line for the power play because he'll get into it more and keep creating chances. But also, yeah, Zeev with the goal tonight. That was a nice shot too. I guess no. That was redirected by Eck, I think. That was a great redirect. Right 5-hole. It was perfect. It was nice. All right, another defenseman I saw with a lot of good stuff tonight. It was just a great, simple game by Brodin. I mean, also, the slap shot, the one timer from Marcus Johansson Mojo, that thing was just put on a gosh dang tee from Brodin. A perfect sauce over 2 sticks. And Marcus Johansson sent it home, and it was a great play there. But Brodin, another game, just like Faber, just very sound on defense, not letting a lot of pucks near the net, not letting a lot of stuff get to Gustafsson, which is really what you need. Because if you when you're playing a team that's on 4 days of rest, and when you are a team not on 4 days of rest, that's what you got to do. That's the winning formula right there. And the Wild executed it perfectly. Keep the pucks away from Gustafsson and keep them in Pittsburgh's zone. That's all they needed to do, and that's all they did do. All right. And then we'll talk about our goalie, Philip Gustafsson. Yes, he was great. And it's a shutout. A shutout's a shutout, no matter if it's 35 shots on goal in a game or 19 like tonight. That is just credit to the defenseman and the rest of the team, like I'm saying. Maybe it's because Pittsburgh has a ton of vets. They're old. Sidney Crosby, Malkin, Rust. It doesn't matter. The Wild were faster in every aspect, and that caused Gustafsson to kind of sit back. And I mean, he made some big saves when they needed to. They had a bunch of good chances in the first period on a few good rushes. There was one breakaway because of a Zeev, I think a mistimed pass or something, but they got a breakaway. Gus, he's withstood those chances. But either way, this is just a testament to the whole team, to everyone. It's a collective effort because without the team, I mean, Gustafsson doesn't need to save 19 shots. He would have to save more like 26 or 30 if the team didn't come out just furious tonight. And by the way, Marcus Foligno taking notes. He's going straight to the mustache look, and I love it. He's going full, looking like a full mean Russian is what I think of when I see Foligno out there now, big old moose. But yeah, going back to kind of the game plan, I just think it was I think it was genius tonight. I mean, it's not even about a game plan. It's just showing up to every game and working your butt off. I mean, I see Matt Boldy in front of the net taking hits in the back, taking fists to the neck, and he's sitting in there. He's screening the goalie. He's doing everything he can to create for other people. But that's the stuff we got to see day in and day out from guys like Matt Boldy. And I see Marcus Johansson rushing to the boards to get that ball out of there, or puck, to get everything out of there. And it's just everyone tonight. I think maybe jump on Pittsburgh, jump on them. They've been on 4 days rest, and they're also old. outskate the oldies. Maybe that was the game plan. That's what I would have said, and that's exactly what they did. So it seems like that was kind of what they were aiming for this game. Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. It also resulted in getting straight through Silvos. And that's huge because he has been reliable as ever for Pittsburgh this year. And to get 3 goals right away in the first period, that shakes a dude's confidence. I don't care if you are a seasoned vet in the NHL for 8 years, that shakes a guy's confidence. And that is telling them that, well, your team is letting a lot of pucks near the net, and it is hard to stop them. Granted, it's hard to stop a perfect redirect by Eriksson Ek that goes right through your 5-hole when you thought it was going over your shoulder. Perfect play by Ecker. But that's it. When you put pucks near the net, they're going to go in. And that's exactly what the Wild have struggled with on the power play. They've been too passive all year. It's exactly what they needed tonight. All right. Maybe if I had to find one negative from this game, if I had to find one, was that I'd say maybe the one negative is that they almost, keyword almost, didn't score on that major in the first period, but they did end up scoring. I think they had one shot through 4 minutes of that, which was just unacceptable. They couldn't get it into the zone. They couldn't hold it. It's the same zone entry every time from the Wild. It seems like on a power play. I mean, it works sometimes. You get it in, but it's hard to gain that puck and really possess it in the ways that they need to on a power play and keep it up top and pass it across. Like it's not they can't control it is what I'm trying to say here. But they ended up getting the goal. I forget which goal that was. I think it was the second goal, but it was good. It was a nice goal. That's all I remember from that. But all right, it is Saturday. It's a college football game day, and we have some Minnesota Golden Gophers football to talk about right now. That's what we got going. Golden Gophers travel to Wrigley Field to take on the Northwestern Wildcats. Yeah, I mean, a lot of fans would say, well, Northwestern, it's Northwestern. This is going to be a win easily. All right. I'm here to tell you that in my opinion, I think it'll be a tougher game than people realize. Northwestern has a lot of good things going for them. They are 1 win away from being a bowl eligible team. All right. They're also coming off a game where they just they should have beat Michigan, but they just lost to Michigan because of a game-winning field goal. And to be completely honest, they outplayed Michigan for most of the game. And it's been all season. They lost. They played better against Oregon than we did. Is what all I'm going to say about the Gophers and Northwestern. That's the first comparison between these two teams. They lost to Oregon 38-17. We lost to them like 42-13. Not great at all. But I mean, Northwestern's been doing this all year. They lost to Nebraska on a game-winning not game-winning touchdown, but a winning touchdown that happened mid fourth quarter by Nebraska. Nebraska beat them 28-21, but that they traveled into Nebraska and gave Nebraska a fight. And Nebraska's been a good team, and this was before Dylan Raiola was out for the year. All right. So they have the pieces to be a good team. For Christ's sakes, they're 1 win away from being bowl eligible. That's all that they were hoping for this year. And their quarterback, Preston Stone, they brought him in from SMU this offseason as a transfer, obviously. And he has done exactly what they need him to do. What they asked him to do is just not turn the ball over. Granted, he had 4 interceptions in week 1 against Tulane. We're not going to mention that. In Big Ten play alone, let me look at this real quick. Yeah, in Big Ten, so in 8 Big Ten games, he only has 5 turnovers. So he's not throwing for high yardage games. He's not throwing 4 touchdowns each game. I wonder why. It's maybe because they're run first. Shocker. But he's not turning the ball over, and that's exactly what they have asked him to do, is protect the ball. And Northwestern's not a team that's going to kill you over a lot of air yards, deep shots downfield. They don't have the weapons to do that yet. But they do have a phenomenal running back, Caleb Komolafe. All right. Komolafe has been absolutely fantastic for them. He is a touchdown machine. I'm pretty sure. Let me look. He has thrown, no, he has ran. No, yeah. So he's ran for a touchdown in every single Big Ten game except Purdue this year. So he's doing it against big opponents. He just dominated against Penn State like a month ago, and he's been doing it to every single team he's faced. And they will not shy away from him because he is their big spark on their offense. You could say their other big spark would be their wide receiver, Griffin Wild. He's their only really weapon on the receiving end. Their tight end is their second in receiving. But Griffin Wild, I mean, he can make plays along the perimeter. But if you, as the Gophers, really really determine that you can have a safety, really, just because I'm serious, they do not have many other weapons that are really reliable, and really any other weapons that Preston Stone has been accustomed to throwing to now, because he has built a very strong connection with Wild. If you can commit Kerry Brown to Wild and commit Coy Parrish, other guys, like, just to keep an eye on them, not as a spy, but you keep him contained, you will have a good day. And that's really all you need to know. And then there's one dude on defense. It's their middle linebacker. His name is Mac Yulin, and he is a fantastic ball player for them. He has 4 pass defense and 4 interceptions this year as a middle linebacker, which is very hard to do in college because, I mean, the middle linebacker position in college is hard to play because you're running the defense. You're doing a lot of things that a lot of guys wouldn't be able to do, like mentally and like physically. They're all of them. All the middle linebackers are obviously physically built for the position, but mentally you got to be able to know a lot. And this guy is a weapon at reading the quarterback's eyes, because 3 out of the 4 interceptions he has, it's just reading a slant route. It's reading an in-breaking route of any kind. And reading the quarterback, because college quarterbacks, they tend to keep their eyes on their target. He is reading them very, very well. Yeah, that's really the only dude you have to watch out for on Northwestern's defense. Really, in all other categories, they are kind of just mid in the conference, and pass and run defense. They are only letting up 19 points per game. And granted, you could say that because the Big Ten, it doesn't have the firepower of offenses as the SEC or something like that. But 19 points per game is still respectable in any world. I mean, they just held true freshman phenomenon Bryce Underwood in Michigan to 23 points. And he actually, going back to that game, that was a good game to watch because Bryce Underwood hasn't been really a throwing threat all year. He's getting there. He's a true freshman for Michigan, but this was the game against Northwestern that he really came out of his shell and really unlocked his throwing game a lot, which, I mean, that's definitely something to look at if you're Drake Lindsey and this wide receiving core, is that they got to Northwestern when they could. They did, because Justice Haynes, the Alabama running back transfer who went to Michigan, he's having a phenomenal year, but he just didn't have the same day against Northwestern. And that might be because Michigan ran the ball or passed the ball a little bit more than they usually would. But that's saying something right there. And the Gophers are coming into their own with Drake Lindsey. He's getting more and more comfortable. That Oregon game was tough, I will admit. But here are my keys to the game. All right. Keys to winning. Number 1, I know it's pretty common for Gophers football in this day and age again, but just establish the run game and stick to it. That's all you have to do. Okay. Northwestern's D line, their lead pass rusher has 4 sacks this year, which, yeah, means you can pass the ball. But it made me look at how their run defense has been. Not great from the D-line standpoint. I mean, that middle linebacker I was telling you about, Mac Ullin, and he is in almost on all the plays. He has over 85 tackles this year, and a lot of those are coming from these runs that teams are doing. But it's just pretty plain and simple. You with your offensive line, this offensive line is young, but it is improving. You can bully the Northwestern front seven all game if you want to, and that'll open up shots for Tracy and Jamison Gears. But you need to establish it with Darius Taylor and Boy, because that's the winning key right here for this game. Also, I don't know the weather, but Chicago, a windy day. I don't know. It could be just a ground and pound Gophers game. Just for that's how it's going to be. That's how I think it's going to be. But on defense, the one thing I really want to see, this is the main thing for their defense. Like I was telling you, Northwestern, they don't take a lot of shots in the air. All right. They are very hesitant with it. Preston Stone, he can throw the ball. He doesn't turn it over much, which that also means he is throwing the ball into some very short yardage situations, which in our case, I like that. I like it. It's good. They don't run many crossers over the middle of the field. They don't run deep developing routes at all. And so what I want to see from the Gophers is I want a lot of guys up in the box. I want it to be very Brian Flores like. I want tenacity. I want the tenacity and aggressiveness to show up in this game because it needs to. Northwestern does not take the deep shots. If you can control their run game and stop their running back and stop Preston Stone from getting out of the pocket, because he can be mobile sometimes too. You got to watch out for that. But if you can keep him in the pocket, control the run game, he is going to be throwing only short yardages, and that is exactly what you want. You will not let anything behind you in this game. The Gophers cannot. This is how they win the game. They keep everything in front of them. And if I'm not mistaken, Northwestern is the last team in the Big Ten in shots downfield, except for Purdue, I should say. Don't quote me on that, but it's Purdue behind them. But going off of this, I want to see this is very wishy-washy, I get it, but just a lot of football-y plays. I want to see stunts within the D-line. I want many different guys blitzing. I want confusion. I want Maverick Baranowski in there. I want Coy Parrish coming off the edge. Keeping Stone contained in the pocket is the number one thing here because his completion percentage this year is 58%. He's throwing short balls and still missing sometimes. Yeah, he's not throwing the ball over, but he also tends to hold the ball and take sacks. Anthony, he's going to get in there and get a couple sacks this game if they do exactly what I'm saying right here and create confusion, create pressure in different ways, because all throughout this year, those turnovers that Preston Stone has this year are all when he's getting pressured. I mean, it's a pretty simple way to scheme up this one. This is what Michigan, they did not pressure as much as they should. And for a big program like that, they have the guys on the D-line that they can get pressure, which you could, and that's why they didn't pressure much, and that's why they sat back and kind of gave cushion a little bit and let him throw, which I guess with his completion percentage wouldn't be a bad strategy too, and just letting him throw the ball, see if you can get some interceptions and really just let him kind of play create by himself with what he's not great at. I'm talking about Stone here. And you could say the same thing about the Gophers because they have the pass rusher. I mean, Anthony is leading the conference. Actually, I'm pretty sure he's leading the whole nation with 9.5 sacks, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, he's having a phenomenal year, but that's my game plan. Establish the run game on offense, and then that'll open up shots downfield for you. All right. And then on defense, show them a lot of different stuff and get to Preston Stone, pressure him, make him get the ball out quick, and make him throw these short yardage chunks, because that you can stop. The main objective is just keep everything in front of you. Limit the run game, and you will be good. Establish the run game, limit the run game. This game is won in the trenches 100% the entire time. All right. One thing I want from the game. That was my game plan. I'm going to give you one thing I want. A want is just like the Vikings have done now that Aaron Jones is back. I would love to see the Gophers come up with a fun play design of Darius Taylor and Ejeboy in the backfield. I want a double running back look because it's so you can do so many things with it. Like the Vikings, they send Aaron Jones on just to the flat or a wheel route, whatever you want to call it, and you can pass it there. And then Jordan Mason was out for a screen on the opposite side. And Darius Taylor is a great receiving back. That's one of the great things about him. All right. And if he can stay healthy, you'd be able to see that more and more. But that's one thing I want. I want to see that because both running backs have shown that they deserve playing time, especially Ejeboy. He's proved it a ton. That's a want. That's a want for the game. All right. Each Saturday, we have what we call listener GM. All right. We have a listener send in a question that they want. Usually, we'd have a co host, Trevor Kramer. He is my co host here, and he will usually be on. He's going to be back Monday. All right. Yeah. Okay. Listener GM. Every week on a Saturday, we have someone send in a question about any of our 5 teams: Gophers, Vikings, Twins, Wild, Wolves. And they ask a question and we answer or give opinions on it. It's really simple, pretty fun hearing people's opinions about things. All right. All right. So this week we got a question from Braden. He is asking, how is JJ McCarthy going to get better in just half a season here? Okay. So, I mean, how is JJ going to get better in half a season? I think I can maybe just echo off of kind of what Kevin O'Connell says here in his press conferences. And 9 to noon with Paul Allen is a great segment on YouTube. You guys should go watch that. But I think I can echo him by saying it starts with the mechanics. I talked about it a little bit yesterday, but when you watch when you watch the All 22, when you watch his mechanics, he definitely looks like he has a baseball background. He looks like he has an athletic quarterback background with the way he throws. It's almost Aaron Rodgers-esque. He doesn't load up on his back foot. And another thing is that his feet are very, very wide apart, meaning a lot of coaches say get shoulder width apart when you're batting in baseball, when you're golfing, when you're a quarterback in football. You need to have shoulder length apart. All of the power and a lot of things in sports comes from your waist and comes from the rotation. It's not too much different with football when throwing. You need to get power from your hind leg and get power on that and boost yourself forward. It's not just your arm. And that I think is what JJ is struggling with right now, is he is trying to do it all with his arm. I think he's thinking about it too much, which I think that could be traced back a little bit to Kevin O'Connell. Keep running the ball, all right, because it helps out. It helps out any rookie quarterback to just run the ball and get some chunks and not have to complete a 3rd and 9 8 times a game. But other than that, I mean, like I said in the episode yesterday, JJ has been so good pre-snap, which that's the untangible stuff where You cannot be a good quarterback in this league if you don't have what it takes pre-snap and can't recognize a defense, recognize a blitzer, and mic him. You can't be a real NFL quarterback if you can't do that. So that's the unfixables. But JJ doesn't need fixing there. He's great at it. He does what he needs to, and it seems like he has full control of what's going on pre-snap out there. It's just the mechanics, and I think that's kind of where it comes from, not loading up on his back foot and trying to do it with his arm. And that leads to the passes downfield. He doesn't have enough power there. And then when because he's just using his arm. All right. And then the short passes where he needs to lay off a little bit on them, it may sound crazy, but you can't do that all with your arm because it's uneven. Your arm, if you're trying to make these short 8-yard out routes to Justin Jefferson with just your arm, they're going to sail. You need to have a firm foundation and a firm back leg so you can really drive it in there and not drive it above him, because the arm, think of it as just two working parts on a machine. If you're just throwing with your arm, it's not going to end well. You need your leg, and then for Christ's sakes, if you're only using your leg on a throw and not using your arm, then you're not going to do anything with it. You need both parts of the machine working. If you are not using your leg with your arm, it's going to sail. You're not going to have enough on it. But if you're using a leg, your machine is 100%, and it's going to do what you need it to do. You can place it better. You guys look back for yourselves on the games. When he has good throws, like a very nice ball dropped right in the bucket to Jalen Naylor against the Ravens, he has moments, and those are when his mechanics are sound, and he has a clean pocket, and he can step into the throw with that back leg. But other than that, that's how he can improve with the rest of the season, is get the mechanics, because now the Vikings have a 3% chance to make the playoffs, and it's not going to get a lot better, but he's going to have good games, no matter if it's here at Lambeau on Sunday or if it's week 18 against Lambeau at the Vikings at US Bank Stadium. He's going to have good games, but he's also going to have more clunkers, but people got to stick with him, because that's all you can do. And hey, next year, if he's really serious about his mechanics and Kevin, and if they go through it, we will be looking at a great year next year. All right. That is it for all of that. One last thing on the show. Each day there is a Minnesota sports team playing. We give our predictions, or in this case, I give my prediction. The Gophers play at Wrigley Field against Northwestern today. And I am very confident. I bet you guys kind of sense that from everything that I talked about with Northwestern. They have holes. The Gophers also have holes, but I don't think they're holes that Northwestern can get to right now, especially on Northwestern's offensive side. They're limited in some ways. If Northwestern can get their run game going, I think it will be a very close game. That's why I want the Gophers to load the box and really commit to the run and stopping it. But if the Gophers do what they need to do, I think they'll win by a touchdown or more. That is why I have the Gophers winning this game against Northwestern 27-17. Big win for the Gophers. It's a 7 wins on the year. It'd be a big one right here. That is all I have today. 27-17. Gophers win. 11 o'clock at Wrigley Field. It'd be a fun game to go to. But other than that, we are done here. A little bit of wild. We'll talk about a Wolves debacle. And that is everything for tonight. All right. And that is where I will end this. So subscribe, do whatever you guys want. Get this channel big. Twin Cities Sports Talk. I am Bruce. See you guys later.